did you notice the physicality, the difference in the English game from Yugoslavia, Raddy? You mentioned Peter With put you in the net. I mean, was that a shock or surprise to you, or were you kind of expecting that and you thought that's all right for me?
Those physical contacts, they are, I'll say, a lot more harder in England than how was in Yugoslavia. But one thing is for sure, what I really respect was nobody will go to kick you to injure you with intention. They go for ball, they go for how say full strength, and you cannot how say be angry because of that. Everyone was in some way honest in doing his part of the job, and in the end, Peter's job was to try to score goals. And, I mean, he was trying to do that. Why referee don't penalize or uh, those say contacts? That's a different story because rules are in that period like that. Now you touch anyone anywhere around, they straight away is free kick or player go down and it's like dead. But in that period was not like that, not like that. And there was, how say, bad tackle, but no intention. And that is very important for me. That was very important. That was not really intention. Uh, and because of that, I have two bad injury in some way. Uh, One game, Nottingham, I have cheekbone broken. Game in Leicester, I think Trevor mentioned Young. He stood on my feet and my ligaments go, and I didn't play, I think, nearly 2 months. But all those injuries in some way happen. It's happened, and you cannot, how say, be angry because of that bit. Nobody of them wanted to injure me or anybody else. Was that, I'll say, part of game where you don't have intention to injure anyone, but you go hard as possible.
What was Raddy like in training, Trevor? I hear a lot about goalkeepers that love to play out. Yeah, they think they can play out, they can play center. Now Raddy was always very good with his feet, probably many years ahead of his time in English football. And when we've had Howard Wilkinson on this show, Howard, I think, actually mentioned a specific routine in terms of a kick out, Raddy, whereby you had to kind of hit it on the half volley and aim it out, slice it out to the far side for Ian McCulloch to get the flick on and all the rest of it. Technically, because all goalkeepers can kick now, can't they, TC? We think of Edison and those. But Raddy was very good with his feet, a long way ahead of his time.
Yeah, it was. Ball would get right back to him. He'd quite often, he'd have a few seconds where he'd dribble it around the box and everything because he was comfortable with it. And sometimes he didn't bother picking it up. He didn't have to. He just controlled it with his foot and pinged it to the fullback. But yeah, I think if the truth be known, Raddy used to like the participation in the odd five-a-side when we were allowed a five-a-side, just to get rid of the.
I have a problem with Howard one training. Remember, but when you mentioned that kick, I it's like a half volley where long kick where ball was coming down, and we've been practice. Trevor, remember that you just go to the defender, but you don't jump because ball will continue and he will miss it. Then just go behind. And recently I was looking some games on YouTube, and in some of those games that kick nearly one. Actually, Ian should score goal because I kicked long ball, stopper went for ball and ball go over him,
Yeah.
Ian go through, should score goal. I can't remember which game it was.
Yeah. No, when you used to practice that a hell of a lot on the training ground. Howard had you doing that quite often. You know, it was effective for us.
But I remember at the beginning, I was not staying in goal line. I was going out for those long kicks. And I remember once, I can't know, somewhere away we've been playing, and I was ball through for attacker, and I go out of penalty box, and I go like to kick ball, and just stop on ball, and player go. After the game, Jimmy said, he came to me and said, Raddy, you've done really good, but don't do anymore. He said, first, he said, heart attack. Second, he said, once you can do 10 times good. Once you don't do good, everyone will remember that. And he was right. He was completely right. And I remember we've been playing far side on that university ground. I remember.
Yeah.
And I like to play anyway, and was playing, and I think we have some problem throwing ball through legs players, you know, during and I was doing this lot because I didn't care if I lose ball, but for me it was point okay through ball through legs player. But that was.
Right, I'm going to bring out Exhibit 2 now, Raddy, and to see if you can guess why I'm bringing this out. Because Trevor knows what's coming. Right, okay. So, Exhibit 2.
Oil. What is this oil for cooking or what?
It's not cooking oil. This is a nice bottle of Scotch whiskey.
Yes.
Okay. Smallish bottle. Not a really big bottle.
Yes.
Why have I got this bottle out of that medical bag?
For me that was a surprise. We go back for warming up. Once at the beginning, I went back to the dressing room. I finished from Watford, and I see one player, second player, they just go for quick but small. You cannot really blame them. And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Oh, it's warming up." I said, "Warming up inside." But was really small. That's small, but it's not bottle. I don't know how you call it. That small part for game, especially when it's cold weather outside. I think this was not bad idea. But I never really drink. From my side, I was not really good. Not really good.
Yeah.
And Trevor, no, when we go out, for me was a problem going from one place to another place. I cannot drink. What to do? What that?
You used to have the odd tipple, didn't you?
Sorry?
You used to have the odd one, didn't you? The odd one. You'd have an odd drink.
Oh,
just one or two.
Basically, I always when we go out, I take one and that's finished. I cannot.
Yeah.
I couldn't drink more. Because I never really good in drinks. But for me, the problem was cigarette. Remember, in that period, I was smoking, and not many players in that period were in Notts are smoking. Was I think Ian and Brian. Only I think they've been smoking. Nobody else.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although he was not in that period when I was there. But Ian McCulloch and Brian Stubbs, I think they've been only smoking. And I was smoking, but everyone do for time. Sometimes you think it's good, but it's not looks like not.
So the reason specifically for this, which you've kind of mostly got, Raddy, but there's a specific reason the bottle was in a medical bag, Trevor, correct?
It was, yeah. That was Jack had that in the cupboard in the dressing room because I was feeling under the weather one weekend, and I'd had about a flu during the week and that, and felt a bit rough. So Jack said, "Here, come back and see me just before we go out." So I went back and I had a swig out of the bottle, and I went out, had a decent game. I think I ended up scoring 2 goals. So that became my ritual before every game after that, especially the home games, because Jack used to tape it up with the white tape that we used to put on the shin pads to keep our shin pads in place. He used to wrap that around it and then write liniment rubbing oil on the bandage that was going around it. So Jimmy didn't know what was in the bottle when it was in the cupboard. And then just before the buzzer used to go, because we used to have a little buzzer in the dressing room that the referee used to press back in them days at Meadow Lane. I would nip into Jack's little sanctuary, go in the cupboard, and he'd say, "It's in there, Tommy." And I'd go in there and I just had 3 quick little sips, put the top back on, back in the cupboard, then back in the dressing room. By that time, the referee pressed the buzzer and out we went. And it was just a little thing that worked for me. Superstition worked for me. So Jack used to carry it around in his bag as well for me, bless him, on the away games.
I was getting cold many games there. You should tell me that I take that.
Yeah, but there wouldn't have been any left for me, Raddy.
But we were talking before this, me and Trevor, Raddy, and we've got a bottle of whiskey dressed up as liniment in that bag, and Trevor was suggesting, did you used to have a little bag that had your goalkeeping gloves and bits and pieces that you take into your net? He reckoned you might have had a couple of cigarettes in the old goalkeeping bag.
It was not so bad. No.
Let's talk some of the memories of that first season in the top flight, which was clearly so special, I'm sure, for you two guys. I know for me, and I know for all Notts fans of a certain age. I remember one game I specifically remember was Liverpool away, because they were kind of the team at that time. They were the number 1 team. And we had to go there on a Friday night because it was the Grand National Horse Race on a Saturday. So the game was moved from a Saturday to a Friday. I was a student in Sheffield. I'd been ill all week, proper man flu. And I remember getting on the train and thinking, I cannot miss this, because for me, that was kind of a seminal moment for Notts playing the best teams in the country. And so I went up, managed to get on a train, felt terrible. We got beat 1-0, Raddy. And the tradition at Liverpool, when you ran out to the Kop, they would always applaud the keeper. Do you remember that night when you ran out, start of the second half, and they were all clapping? And you very cleverly took a while before you acknowledged it. So they had to clap you for quite a long time. And I was thinking, just acknowledge them, because if you don't, they're going to batter you. And you took it right to the last bit. Do you remember that in front of the Kop?
But generally, when you look everywhere on those days, games when you were people, supporters, they've been respecting players. And I think when this happened there, I just without thinking really, I got to them, because I think that is biggest part in every sports, especially in football, is supporters. And if you don't have engagement with them, then for what? And what is point? And I think they've been respecting us, and especially after we play that first half, we play good that game. I think Douglas scored goal. We've been trying to catch offside, and he went from second attack area, and he received ball and scored goal, and we lost I think 1-0. Before that, I have touched on penalty. They have penalty and they didn't score.
That's right.
And Douglas scored goal on offside trap, but he was clever player, clever passer. I think soon as possible that ball, and they scored goal, and we lost 1-0. And I think you cannot games like that if you play Liverpool with really top players in that period, and you lose 1-0. I think that's in some way success. It's I think show that you can do a lot more, and all those games in some way help us to do better next. And I think we at the end without any problem we stayed in first division.
You mentioned penalties, and you mentioned Nottingham Forest. So the third exhibit is here we go. This photograph.
Oh, Robo, yeah, I see it. Yes.
Tell me about that.
You know, when I went there, say in Nottingham, generally, everyone in that period was on top was Nottingham Forest with Shilton, with Robo, with Bertus, with Martin O'Neill, many other players. They're how say top team. And after we went to first division, it's normal that local derby is everything what you're looking for in some way. And that game was no difference. In that period, I think we didn't start so good, but how game was progressing, that's how we been better and better. And in some way, sure, a critical point was penalty for Nottingham Forest, and if they score in that period, I'm sure we lose game. I'm sure, because they are a good team. I don't think they will allow you to go come back and go to win. But point is that not go every game to try to win, and that's what I really like there. We went there for each game try to win. What boss said to us, I think Trevor know very well. Before we play one game against Birmingham City, Birmingham was needed. They needed 1 point, I think, to qualify for first division that first year.
Yeah.
And we are playing game there. And Jimmy Saylor said, "Okay, boys, I don't use that words anyway. Okay, let them to show you that they are better than you, that they deserve to go to first division."
Yeah.
And that was motto of all time. I think not counting. You go try to win game. If opponent is better, it's better. What you can do, but at least you try to win game. And I think how game was progressing in Nottingham Forest, we really how say show that will and wish to win game. And I think first goal is Ian, or second Hooks, yeah.
Hooksy.
Yeah, Hooksy. And that was really something special. After I saved that penalty, we continue to play. We are not saying in some way many more maybe teams will be happy. Okay, we try to do, but we will try to win. And at the end, we won that game. It was absolutely great game. Uh,
I think every time that they played against us, Raddy, they knew they were in, like you said previously, they knew they were in for a bit of a fight, because we always wanted to win the game. In them days, you know, you didn't go out to draw a game. We went out to win a game, and well, the proof's there in black and white that we had more than a successful period when we played Forest in those derby games.
I want to take right back to this specific moment, because this game. So this was the first. So this was our first season back in the top flight. There'd been a long, if you remember, terrible weather, snow and everything, and hardly played for ages. And so for Notts County fans, this was kind of coming out of the shadow of Forest, who had won the European Cups 18 months earlier. And so first game back in the top flight at the City ground. First half, Forest were kind of on top, penalty. And John Robertson, who I know very well, he didn't miss many penalties, very, very few, you know, and it's a wonderful photo, and I'll tell you the story about the photo in a minute. But that photo is you. So just talk us through that moment. It's 0-0 now. Did you have a theory on penalty saves? Did you wait for Robbo to hit it before you dived? Did you guess it was going to go that way and got lucky? Or just talk me through, if you can remember, that penalty save.
From early stage in my career, I was always following and looking, analyzing players taking penalties anyway. And second, that's one part. The second part is each player is different. Each player, I was classifying them in defenders, midfield, attacker. Each of them different way approach taking penalty. And I was in some way studying all this. And in that period, I have a record of every player I saw taking penalty or see on TV where they are taking penalty, and I was marking and writing my notes. And you have as well, how say, most time defenders go to hit ball strong. Then it depends of body position, is right foot, left foot, where ball will go. And Robo was that, how say, creative player, player who likes to dribble, good technique. He will never hit ball. He will just try to, how say, trick you on side where and just pass ball net. And because he's left footer, I'm left footer also. And I know that if I want to, how say, to pass ball, I will pass on right side goalkeeper. If I go to hit, I will hit other side. This means I was guessing that sure he'll take just pass ball, and that must be on right side. And I was right. Luckily, I was right. That's how it is. You need to have luck as well. And I cannot guarantee anything. You can guess and you can do everything, but you need to be lucky in some way.
So Raddy did the job of saving the penalty in the first half, Trevor. 2 goals in the second. Strikers do the business. I mean, what was that like as a group of players after you've come off, got back in the dressing room? What did you get up to? Because for supporters, you know, it is up there. You know, it is probably one of the greatest days of my life. You know, and in terms of watching Notts County, to go into the backyard and win 2-0. You know, and at that point, all Notts County fans were quite gleefully telling Forest fans, you know, you may have won the European Cup 18 months ago. We are now the top team in Nottingham, right? What as professionals, what does it mean? Because I guess you kind of know most of their players as well, and you bump into them in the nightclubs, you bump into them into the Victoria Sporting Club, or at least Raddy did. What was it like?
Well, like you said, we all knew each other because from the areas where we lived. So you're bound to bump into, Folkestone County players are bound to bump into each other and meet up. And there was a good rapport between the lads. There was no animosity or anything like that. But we came off the pitch, and obviously we were delighted with the result because we played well, and to go there and clean sheet and everything. Raddy makes us say, we're buzzing. We had a couple of beers after the game, went into the players' bar, and then we kind of did what we did most days. On most games, we would go to our various areas, and a couple of lads would go out. I think I went home and for a couple of drinks with friends, and ended up having the Chinese. We all had our own little things that we did, but we had 45 minutes to an hour after the game, and that happened on most games in them days, because those what we would call the players' bar. There would be a players' bar, and your family, if they were attending the game, you'd get tickets for them for the players' bar to get into the players' bar. So you kind of met up and socialised, and the Forest lads would come in, and the county lads would be there. When we went to Villa, the Villa lads came in, and we were there, and you kind of mix and have a bit of banter. Nothing silly, and then you just, like I say, you dispersed and went your own ways and all that. But then when you come in on the Monday morning, your first reaction is like, can we do that again? Let's do it again. We know we can do it. Let's keep it going. But the hard part is keeping it going. It's not always as easy as just to continue to win. We had ups and downs when we were in the first division, because obviously you're playing against top sides, and top sides aren't going to lie down and let you win just because you're the little minnow that's come up and treading tentatively, as they say. No, we had to go in and all guns blazing, and I think that's why Raddy hit on it earlier, saying that we never went out. We always went out to win a game. We never went out to draw a game. Whereas today, in today's game, you sometimes hear like, let's park the bus and set up not to lose the game. We never went to that. We always went out to win the game, and there's a hell of a difference.
Raddy, I guess Peter Shilton was the standard bearer for world goalkeeping at that time. So in the black and white half of the goalkeeping union at Notts County as you, in the red half, I think Peter was still at Forest. Certainly in the first year we were up. How good was Peter Shilton? Did you talk to him or meet him much?
Not much really. I met him once in I think Madison. Yeah, it's Madison. Because after the game, I think all players, Notts and Forest, they've been meeting there late night. And I met him there once. All other, we didn't have really any social life or to meet each other in that period. And I think he was absolutely great in that period. He was really top man, and Forest was a great team also. Rank up, I think done a great job there.
I saw some nervous laughter from Trevor when you said, I met Peter Shilton once at Madison's.
Yeah, I think Madison.
I was too young. When I was 18, 19, I looked 7. So they never let me into Madison's in the early days, much as I always tried to queue up and get in there. So I would watch all the lads just walk straight in. You didn't bother with queuing, did you? You just breezed in. And Madison's was kind of the go-to destination. What wasn't it, TC?
I think there was.
I can't remember being there.
There was always Notts and Forest players together in that
Yeah.
period there.
And lots of other people too, Trevor.
Yeah, lots of work there. From what
Actually,
I can remember.
when you,
But
when,
like
you,
Roddy said, you can.
when you look, my wife really likes that, and we've been always going there, uh, especially after the game. It's sometimes that's only the time actually where we go there. Once a week, we didn't go much there. Anyway,
Yeah, it was the in place for all professional sportsmen. I remember being in there one evening when there was a test match on, and England were playing. I think it was New Zealand, because Richard Hadley was the Nottinghamshire cricketer who was playing for New Zealand, and so they're playing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever it is. And so I'm in Madison's on Thursday night, and then the whole New Zealand cricket team are in, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, they've played a cricket match. It's a test match at Trent Bridge. They're playing tomorrow. I know they don't start till 11, but the whole New Zealand cricket team were in there, and it was kind of where all the sports people went, and it was the place. And as a fan, TC, you won't remember this. I was obviously drunk or whatever, talking to you, and you bought me and my three mates a pint.
Did I?
Yeah.
As a first day.
You've obviously forgotten that. Any particular games? I mean, clearly we've spoken Chelsea, we've spoken Villa, Raddy. Are there any particular games from the quality of your performance or for something a little bit different that you really remember at Notts?
oh, there are few games, anyway. But it's very interesting because we've been talking about penalty. I remember we've been playing a Millsborough in cup. Can't remember which cup was Trevor. And there was 0-0 penalty for Millsborough. I saved penalty. Referee said again. He said like, oh, I move was I don't know what. And I save again. But still, we lost 2-1, I think, Trevor. Remember in Millsborough, we lost 2-1.
We did, yeah.
I do.
Against
Yeah.
Millsborough.
FA Cup.
Cup, I don't know which one was.
Yeah.
But
I mean, were there, you know, while Raddy was around those 2 years, I mean, any particular games that stick in your mind, TC?
For me, special one was when we went down to Southampton and Shields was in goal for Southampton. I think Raddy was still with us. We went down there and we won 2-0. My wife Sue, she gave birth to our oldest lad John. Early on the Saturday morning while we were away, we went down on a Friday and stayed overnight like we did on most trips in them days. When we played in the old First Division, it was always an overnight stop. And we went down there, and they had one hell of a team. Frank Worthington and Dennis Rolfe were playing. They had a really, really good team. Stephen Moran. I'm sure Raddy was in goal for us. I remember them pulling off quite a few saves before we managed to get a couple of goals. And what made it special, obviously, my son was born, and I ended up notching past Shields with a header, a diving header, which made it even more special. But to go down Southampton, win 2-0, keep a clean sheet, that's, like I said, that's what we were like, Paul. That's what Raddy said earlier. We never went out and not tried to win a game. And it was lovely. John Mountney came with to breakfast the following morning with a bottle of champagne because I got a phone call at 6:20 saying that Sue had just given birth to our oldest lad. And when we went down for breakfast, John Mountney had gone and got a bottle of champagne and came and presented me with that. And so I had a really nice weekend. But I can remember Raddy pulling off 3 or 4 cracking saves.
So to clarify, Trevor, you weren't at the berth, so you'd gone overnight with the team, yeah?
Yeah, we left about 3 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, on the bus going down to Southampton. We'd arranged for Sue's parents to come over and be with her because, excuse me, we knew she was, she was due to give birth any time. And they came over and stayed with her in Nottingham, in our house in Nottingham. And then I went down and did my deed and played the game, and then got back about 8 o'clock on the Saturday night, and then went straight to the Queen's Medical Centre from the ground.
Different times, different eras. That wouldn't probably happen today, would it, in the modern era?
No. You hear of lads getting time off and this, and you get a few days off, like when the children are born. But no, it wasn't even considered in them days. I can imagine what Jimmy would have said if I'd gone and asked as well.
Your son was born in England while you were here with Notts County, Raddy?
No, he was born in Rijeka in Croatia.
Right.
And he was 2.5 when we went to England.
Oh, I see. Right. I'm with you.
But I remember one game. It was not because of how I play or the normal game, but one of the best goals that we score, I think Gordon Mayer scored against.
I was going to ask you. Yeah.
I think against Ipswich.
Ipswich.
It was in that period great, good club, good team.
You started off the move. You threw the ball out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Threw the ball out, left back, all the way down the side of the pitch. Gordon scored. Definitive goal.
Yes. Gordon played 1-2 with, I can't remember who was that in that period, and at the end he finished scoring goals. One of the, in some way, football best goals.
Great goal.
And the good thing about that was on the telly, wasn't it, Trevor? What wonderful play. And I know Jimmy was very proud of it because Bobby Robson was the manager of Ipswich, wasn't he? And I think he congratulated them afterwards about that goal.
Yeah, I mean, I had a cracking view of it because it came right down my side. I was sat on the bench because I was sub that day, and I got a great view, best view, better than the TV. And it was like started with Raddy. He came out and collected it straight out to the fullback. Ding, 1-2s. Gordon, Hooksy, and the Cat playing 1-2s. Eventually put Gordon back in again, and he finished it. So from being in your own penalty area, your keeper having the ball in his hands, 20 seconds later, Ipswich haven't touched the ball, and they've gone all the way up the pitch, and it's in their net. Literally 20-25 seconds maximum, and they haven't even touched the ball. Now, I watch football on TV, and all you see is like 1 minute they're having a shot, they're in their opponent's box trying to tee up a shot, and then 15 seconds later they've passed it all the way back to their own goalkeeper. Yeah.
That's what I want to say. Maybe if it's now Gordon playing, maybe he will, instead to score, he will play back to stopper.
It could be sweeper.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was a wonderful.
Well, yes, it was a fantastic.
It was a wonderful 2 years in the top division. You moved on, I believe, Raddy, at the same time as Howard left the club, and I think you went to Canada. What happened there?
Actually, I wanted in that period to go back to Yugoslavia in that period, to Rijeka. But what's happened? Before I left Yugoslavia and I went to England, there was coach Mr. Raddy Firmani, who was coaching Cosmos and Tampa Bay in American League. And he came to Rijeka to take me to Cosmos. That was was 78, but club didn't want to let me go. And a year after, I went to England. And in that period, I was going back to Yugoslavia, and this guy, Mr. Raddy Firmani, called me because he read somewhere that I am leaving, and he asked me to come to Canada because in Canada they are organizing first professional Canadian league, and he is coach of Inter Montreal in Canada, and he wanted me to come to help him coaching and playing for him. Yeah, because I made decision. Okay, I will stop. Okay, I was not sure what to do. In the end, I said to my wife, okay, let's go. Use this as in some way to go to see Canada, to have good in some way holiday, because they're from amateurs in that period, but they are organizing like professionally. And I went there, and we started really good. For 6 games, we won 4, we draw 2. But how it was organized, league went bankrupt.
Okay.
Bankrupt, and I was free. And then a guy from England called me and say, "Oh, do you want to come back to England to Coventry City?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay." That's our conversation really. And in some way, maybe I made a mistake. I at the beginning was everything okay, but later I did like it. But that's different story.
Yes.
Yeah, and I went back and I stayed one end of season in Coventry. Then I made decision to go back definitely to Yugoslavia.
You went back to Yugoslavia, and you have had, a truly wonderful coaching career. You have been national manager, national head coach in such places as Singapore, Kuwait, Myanmar, the old Burma, as we would call it.
Oman.
How much did you take from Jimmy Cyril, Howard Wilkinson, into that coaching journey that you had?
I think in some way, on a way, you pick from different cultures, different things. One thing, what I think I how say I pick up from them is that you must be serious first. You must hardworking and in some way go to details. And they've been say after some period that I was and I'm a good tactician. But it's not just that case of tactician. What means tactician? I think altogether you must be serious and work hard to achieve something, but you must have that, I'll say, target in front of you, what you want to achieve. And in some way, also I think to achieve with anything, first you must really, how say, understand that team, understand those people that you are dealing with. If you don't have that, how say, communication side with them, I don't think you can achieve anything. And in some way, 2012, I was on third time a champion of Southeast Asia with Singapore. And in that period, we didn't have best players, but we have best team. We have so good understanding that at the end, there are few interviews with players, and they say, we all done this approach. Because I said before that final, doesn't matter what's happening, final, I finishing, I don't want to continue. And many players later on in interview, they said, we done this for coach. This means that we have a really good understanding. And in Singapore, generally, Thailand, they have a lot more better players. They believe me. Indonesia have good players. Malaysia, and bigger country, there are 60, 70 million people. Singapore, 4.5 million. But we won 3 times, I won with them 3 times that championships of Southeast Asia. Because we are best team, we are best group, we have that chemistry, what really bring us that success. And this part of serious work, it's actually, I take this from England, because I think in England as well, they always serious work and really determination to do something. In many other parts, maybe some people looking for excuses in some way, but in England, not. You go to try to win, you win, great. You don't win, you don't look for excuses. That's what it is. You must try to do all time. And I think that's part I took from Jimmy and from Howard. And Howard is I think one of those first new coaches that go seriously in details for every game. Maybe before him, a lot of things is left to players to and then to create and during the game. But with how many things you already should know what will happen and push you to make to happen. And I think that he was one of those new coaches in England that start to come up in that period. And I think as well, when you look what he achieved in his coaching and manager life, I think he done great job in English football. Especially with the federation, what he done there. I think he done great job.
Was there ever a chance, and Trevor, we could have certainly done with Raddy at just about any point in the last 20 years. Was there ever an opportunity to come back to England, or because during your coaching career in Asia, Raddy, the Notts County manager's job must have come up about 37 times in the last 2 decades.
I was, believe me, I was thinking a lot about that part. And I can blame only myself why I didn't try to go back to say Nottingham and to Notts County, because if you look at those teams that I was coaching are actually national teams, and actually I coached one team also in Oman. I went back and I win championship with them as well. Rui Club. But results that I in some way achieved is maybe if I was in that period working mainly with Notts County, maybe I could help Notts County also. But you never know this. But still, I should really blame myself why I didn't try to go back to it. But, all, how say, starting with Oman in that coaching part with national teams was all time that continuity. I didn't have time to sit down and relax on what I will do next or think about. Was that continuity from Oman to Kuwait, back to Oman, then went to Singapore and I stayed in Singapore nearly 10 years
Yeah.
as national coach. What is not really easy to achieve and have in some ways success, starting with Kuwait, taking Kuwait to Olympic Games. And with Kuwait national team as well winning West Asian Games, and after 3 times with Singapore Southeast Asia Asian Games, where 11 countries are participating. I'm sure that maybe you never know, and we will never know. If I went back to Nottingham, maybe I could help not. Many times I was thinking about that, believe me. But that's what it is now.
What do you think about that, TC? That's a bit of a, oh, crikey.
Well, I would have thought, like, thinking about it, it would have been great if it could have happened. From what Raddy's achieved in his, his coaching career and his managerial career, I'm sure, more than sure, he could have done something in Notts County, and they wouldn't be in the bit of a pickle that they are now. Well, it's not a pickle, it's a mess, isn't it? Everybody hopes they can get out of it, but like you say, to have somebody like Raddy at the helm steering the ship, like Jimmy and Howard did years ago, and Neil Warnock's done since then, it would have been fantastic, and it would have been fantastic for the supporters because they would have another chapter to look forward to in Raddy's, running of the club. It would have been good, very, very interesting, and I think he'd have done a cracking job, to be honest with you.
But I must mention something else. When I was in Singapore, I have one center forward, Trev, your build size, and a really good guy in way that you cannot win ball from him heading, jumping. No, but with feet forward. He was playing for me for national team and scored many goals. And his club asked me, we would like to help him that he go because of experience and for national team also to play somewhere abroad. I was thinking what to do. And I made contact with Notts County.
Right.
His name is Alam Shah. And he came there. I can't remember now who was called. Can't remember now. And he came and he stayed in Nottingham, I think, 1 month. And he played some friendly games. He scored some goals also. And I can't remember why they didn't take him. Because from, say, transfer point of, how transfer are, money was not involved. Was really how say, my initiative to try in some way to help Notts and in some way to him to have that international experience playing there. But didn't realize really. And I came to with his president of club. We came to Nottingham to see him there. And in that period, guy wanted his but then later on, he wanted with some friends to buy Notts County in that period. Then later on, I think Ericsson and all those they came. But before that, and that was in some way my contact with Notts later on, was that to send that forward to play for Notts County. But this didn't materialize, didn't happen. And I went few times to England in that period when was my son still in England.
Yeah.
I was coming and always coming to Nottingham, but recently after he left, he is in Singapore. From that period, I didn't come to England, and I didn't come really to Nottingham. And looking forward, I hope very soon I will.
Well, it'd be great if you could come back.
Yeah. Then we can make a meet in Victoria Club. Still exists?
I don't know.
Madison's is shut down a long time ago, Raddy, so I wouldn't bother going there now if I were you. Guys, it's been absolutely fantastic to take a trip down memory lane. And I think that as much as the challenging times that the club have faced, and, you've surprised me a little there, Raddy, we're talking about, coming back to Notts County, and, I think as a club, we have certainly missed that DNA that you were part of that was built under Jimmy Cyril. But irrefutably, without any shadow whatsoever, you two guys were part of the most successful period in the club's history, certainly for over 100 years. There were wonderful times, never really in a great deal of relegation danger, competing against the very, very best in the country at that time, the Liverpools and Manchester United. And as Brian Clough used to say, I don't know why we bother playing them lot across the river. We always lose. We might as well just give them the points, eh? And if you look now, sorry for my terrible Brian Clough pronunciation there, Raddy. But it was an era for Nottingham football as well, wasn't it? The early 80s.
Yes,
Top-flight football every week.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
City Ground, Meadow Lane, every week.
Now, just a second. I don't know. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see it? On top of my table.
Very good. Very good. And I think the best news, which kind of Trevor used across Facebook and social media 6 months, a year ago, whatever it was, Raddy, was that you've won that fitness fight, that battle. You're looking absolutely great shape. I tell you what, you've got a lot more hair than this guy down here, haven't you? It is all gone. Mine in my house as well if you did that. But you're looking fantastic shape.
Here is climate different. In England, it's raining.
It's the climate, Trevor. That's why all your hair's fallen out. It's the climate.
It's those bloody flick-ons at the corners. That's what it was. Plenty of head in the ball.
Guys, I know Trevor needs to get off to work. I know you're semi-retired or retired now, Raddy. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. As a fan of that era, it was a pleasure to come and watch you week in and week out. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful times. It cannot be stressed enough how good that is. And I was very fortunate to watch the club when we competed with the best in the land. Our younger supporters today, it is a battle. It is a battle. My son is 23, 24, and he's not seen as outside of the bottom two divisions. I keep telling him to hang in there, because things change. But you two guys contributed to such a wonderful period in the club's history. And so I and everyone thank you hugely for that. any final words, Trevor, and then Raddy?
Yeah,
Trevor?
I just like to say, I just like to say, you know, thanks for the comments, Paul. I really appreciate it. I'm sure I'll speak for Raddy as well when I say it was a great time to be part of that football club. You know, it just fantastic memories. But the best thing for me today is to see that guy the way he looks now, after what he's been through over the last few years. So that's all I want to say. It's just cracking to see him, you know, in the healthy way he looks now.
Me first, I think I need to send regards to many the people in Nottingham. In some way, Matt mentioned Brian, Ray O'Brien, Benji, Don, Paul Hooks, Gordon May. Where she does this now?
John is back in London, and his son is quite a promising footballer as well.
Yeah, it's back.
Oh, good. And I really looking forward maybe in future to see them when I come to England. And Trev, hope we keep in touch. Regards to.
Definitely.
I'll say look after grandchildren. And keep well, keep safe, because this I hope will pass soon. This bad things with COVID and all this, that we can still start to have a normal life again.
Yeah.
Well
said.
I'm sure both of us wish Notts County to in some way wake up and try to do something.
Yeah.
Very well.
We're running out of time, Raddy. We need to move quickly. Yeah.
Okay, Trev.
Guys.
Keep
Cheers,
in touch.
mate.
Thank you for the
mate.
memories.
You
Thank you so much for today.